Hi, everyone. My name is Jenny Whitener. I'm the CEO and founder of Bridge Innovate, and it's lovely to have such a grand crowd with us today for a special inspirational webinar with Theresa Garcia. So thank you so much for joining in. We have a number joining us today. Theresa and I go way back. We were part of the senior leadership team at Ernst & Young Management Consulting for a number of years together and first met that way. And then as we went on in our next stages of our careers, I went on to found Bridge Innovate, and she went on to found her own consulting company as well. She lives in the Phoenix, Arizona area, and we're thrilled to have her with us today. I think you're in store for some great insights. Wisdom for women who want to speak up, create, and lead. So if we go on to the next slide, I want to take an opportunity to say on behalf of Bridge Innovate, thank you for joining our Inspire series. Since the launch of COVID, we've been engaged with meeting up with leaders across the business spectrum, asking them to share their inspirational stories. And as many of you know, Bridge Innovate is a global network of business strategists and consultants that team up with you to solve problems and create defining moments for your organization. So we're thrilled that you're with us today to hear from Theresa. So let's continue on. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Theresa. We're having a bit of sound issue, but
well, hello and welcome. We are having some weird times this morning, and I hope that you'll just go with it with us. You know, completely unexpected. I can't hear you, as I think Jenny has shared. So let's just wing it. And Jenny, I'll look to you to be my ears. Okay. So there is so much going on right now with the pandemic and the changing with schools and the job, the employment situation. It can be absolutely overwhelming. And for me, I experienced time in my life that was utterly overwhelming. And it took me some time, and I got through it. And what I wanted to do was to share what I learned with you in the hope that that story will help you as well to get through some of these overwhelming times. And so what I did was I'm going to share with you some resources from Tara Mohr and from her phenomenal book called Playing Big, which I just can't tell you how much I would encourage you to read that. It encouraged me to play bigger in my life, and I think it will help you get started in playing even bigger in your life. Let's go. Click. Now we have a series of animations here, so Colin, you just got to stay with me as we roll. So for me, it started about 10 years ago. My concerns, my issues, where I just started finally paying attention to what was going on in my life. And it first started with something small, seemingly innocuous, but it was about barbecuing. I noticed that he always barbecued. So let's click that one. Anything I say, Colin, you just need to roll. All right, so I first noticed that he always barbecued, and it hit me like, why don't I ever barbecue? Why don't I just do it? I don't know. There was so much else going on, I noticed it. And then I realized that I was just working all the time. Click. I was putting in like 50, 60 hours a week consistently. You know, next I realized I was traveling about 85% of the time. My life was just filled with airports and airplane lines and hotel rooms and rental cars. And to let you know how bad it was getting, I actually unconsciously remodeled my bathroom to look like a Marriott hotel bathroom. That was home. Now, of course, this was all pre-pandemic, but I want to give you a sense of where my head was at. I felt like I was losing my grip on my life and the balance between, go ahead, Colin, between my life, my work life, and my home life. I wasn't spending enough time with my daughter. Not paying enough attention to her. So you want to click because there's a little girl on there. Just keep on clicking, Colin. My marriage was definitely suffering. And I knew, but I felt overwhelmed, you know, but there were budgets to pay and there was tension over money and there were debts to prioritize, like mortgage and car and school and purchases and groceries and utilities. And I think you guys get it, right? I mean, I was just feeling overwhelmed. And I realized that my family life was suffering and my life was out of balance. And I looked down and I realized that somehow over the time, I had actually put on 50 pounds. Like, where did that come from? So when I thought about it, I realized I had absolutely lost myself. You know, I felt no more joy. I was feeling exhausted all the time. And I thought, you know what, I need to change. I need to do something differently because I just can't go on like this. So let's kick it to you. If we go to our next slide. Anyone else, can anybody relate to what I'm saying here? Anybody else have a similar type of feeling? Okay. Any comments there, Jenny? I should be. Yes, I might be in your house. I mean, and now I think about all of that, plus let's just throw this pandemic on top of it, right? Let's put the possibility of homeschooling. And oh, by the way, I didn't put it in there, but also the hot flashes that were coming and all of the other changes in my life. And I thought, okay, I honestly, I can't take it anymore. So I had to think about, let's go on. I had to think about, what is it that holds me back? What holds us back from actually making the changes necessary? So for me, I had to know why, and I literally studied neuroscience to figure it out. I wanted to know what was going on besides the cultural pressures that I had and the expectations. Is there something else happening in our brains? So I thought, what was keeping me back from questioning my assumptions and the expectations that drive behavior? Why didn't I just stop the madness and give myself a break? And why couldn't I just stop and really change my life and think about taking it from a whole different path? Well, I want you to know that research in neuroscience tells us that when we hold back our emotions and our fear and our intense feelings, it actually becomes mirrored. It actually becomes magnified, and it starts to take over our bodies because it has to go somewhere. So what happens is it permeates our lives, and it will strangely and pop out at the most inappropriate times. And that's what was happening to me. You know, I just would just crack. And in the middle of a meeting, I couldn't take it anymore. And I would say something like how I really felt, but without any filters, which of course did not go down very well. So as a specialist in transformational change and an avid student of adult development and neuroscience, I know that to make a serious life transformation, just like any transformational change, it begins with a shift in mindset, right? A shift in expectation and belief. So this typically means we got to shift, first of all, acknowledge, and then shift those thought patterns that really were primarily built in when we were between the ages of 1 and 8, during our most vulnerable time in life. And that's shaped by our families of origin. That's shaped by the expectations in our families. And what happens is we get that in ourselves and in our unconscious, and it drives our behavior throughout adult life. And we don't actually shift it unless we understand that what we're doing. We basically go on automatic pilot. So sometimes it's fear that holds us back, fear of the unknown, fear of how others might react or judge us. And these fears and thinking can often just paralyze our thinking, right? And it will just show up all the time and paralyze us and keep us from moving forward. And that's actually what was happening to me. So if we could click to our next. So a couple of years ago, 3 years ago actually, I was introduced to the work of Tara Mohr's Playing Big. And I was so moved and so enlightened by that I enrolled in her Playing Big facilitation program so that I could bring those teachings into my own life as well as into my coaching practice. And I learned that for many of us, particularly for women, that, you know, that warning mechanism that we get, that is there to say, it's there to protect us, by the way. It's to say you're moving outside your comfort zone. You're stretching. There's something to be feared here. There is danger. And I share that with you because our brains don't discern between pain, right, and attack against our survival, if it's a physical punch versus a social punch, like social withdrawal. So to the brain, it tells it's all the same. And how that shows up for women in particular is it shows up as a critical voice. Tara would call it the inner critic. And you can tell you have your inner critic talking to you when the voice sounds really harsh and really rude and really mean. There's a heavy focus on body shaming. Okay, the condemnation is definitive. It's binary. It's either this or that. There are no alternatives. And she reminds us constantly, no matter what we do, that we're still not smart enough, not good enough, don't have enough credentials, aren't worthy enough, shouldn't be speaking up, right? And the message is automatic and repetitive. That's when you know that what you're hearing is actually this inner critic, which is the manifestation of your ego, really, which says, stop, protect. There's something to be feared here. So let's take a moment. Our next slide. Anybody ever hear your inner critic? Is she there? Does she show up? You're going to retire soon, Judy? You want to stay busy? Yep. Absolutely. Same boat, you know? Anyone else? Thank you, Judy, for sharing that. Deborah, thank you. Happens for you too? More and more of us with the, you know, I don't know about you as well, but I also have my father's in a home. We got to take care of him too. A child in school. I mean, I'm feeling squished. That's good. All right, so let's keep going. So what do? How do we dampen that and quiet that nasty inner critic? Well, the way we can do that is what I have learned, interpreted for myself, and what I share with my clients. First of all, whenever that inner critic shows up, I encourage her to celebrate that. And I encourage her to celebrate it because it means she is pushing the envelope. It means she is growing, because that inner critic only shows up when you're actually pushing forward and expanding and going beyond the autopilot. All right, so there are ways to quiet it. These are 10 that Tara references, and these are some that I've used. One of the biggest things I've done is to just give her a name, you know, pick out a name, a character, anything you can to just separate her from you, because the intent here is to understand she is not you. She is a voice that was put there to protect you, okay? And she was put there when you were at your most vulnerable, and you're not there anymore. So what I always say is name it to tame it. Say, thank you. I don't need you anymore, I see. I appreciate you showing up right now, but I got this. I've got this. All right? And then I ground myself in, and I include you to ground yourselves in your new perspective. I'm moving forward. So she'll be there for a little while, but just until new wiring fires, just until you get to that next space. We also practice visualization. You can, and some of my clients do, they call that inner critic, they make her a thing, and they just stuff her back in her box and say, thank you very much, don't need you right now, put you on a shelf. They're just little psychological ways to help you understand that she is not you. She is just there to protect, and you don't need her right now. So let's move forward. Before anything else come up? All right, Ashley, you're saying yay. Woo. Same with Deborah, awesome, good. All right, so as you challenge your thoughts, right, as you're pushing forward, you can draw strength from within, from your inner mentor. Now that inner mentor is a wise woman. She is sage. She's always been there. And when you quiet all of the noise out there and reach in, you can find her. A lot of us just call this our gut, our intuition. But we often start to tamper that down and not trust her anymore. But she's there. Trust that intuition. Trust that gut. She will be true to your needs. Now, what she may show up for you is what's going on right now in the world is not making you happy. And that's scary. Because if that's happening, then it can undermine everything that you've built to date, which is scary. And yet it means growth. So we're going to learn how to take some practices to help you connect with her. One of the biggest things to do with a visualization is to visualize who your sage wise woman is. And typically a way that we do that is project and think about 20 years from now. What does she look like? She is the most fulfilled, happy version of you. She's living the life that you always dreamed. How she feels peaceful and calm. So if you can visualize her and get an image of her, you can keep bringing her into your life when you need her. So let's go on to the next. I'll give you a couple of pointers here that are 10 ways that maybe they seem simplistic, but things that you can look at, things that are actually doable that work. So one of the things I typically do is when I get scared, when I get pressured, I take a break, I step back and say, what would she do? What would my sage do? How would she take this? She's 20 years from now. She'd say, Theresa, just chill out. This too shall pass, right? You can ask yourself, what would she do right now? What would she say right now? Start to connect with your inner mentor, that wise sage woman. Take a look at your surroundings. What would you change? I can tell you that now I have totally changed the decor in my home to something that I never did before. It's like, where did that come from? I didn't even know I liked that. Now it's like, I love it. Think about things that she would eat. Think about, what she would say, what she would write. If you were queen and you were free and all was well, what would it look like around you? Thoughts on that before I move forward? Okay, we'll go to our next. I want to hear from you. What's coming up for you about the inner critic or connecting with this inner mentor? Have you felt her? Is she there for you? Good, good. Yeah, she's there. That inner mentor is there and she is positive. Okay, so I'll tell you what I ended up doing. As a transformation change specialist, I know that you have to have a plan and a support team to help you get through major change. You can't do it alone. So what I did was I literally built a transformation plan, a 3-year transformation plan, and I built a support team around me. With an open heart, I worked together with my spouse and we planned an amicable family transition that prioritized each other to make sure we took care of each other and that we continue to take care of our daughter. My company has an EAP program and I availed myself of it. I engaged a money coach to help me to take a look at my books and get myself out of the red and move into the black within 3 years. I engaged a counselor to help me to listen to and look at that inner critic and hear who is she, what's she all about, and help me release myself from the chains of the past. I put fitness and health back into my life. Yes, it's early in the morning before 7 because that's the only time I can get it in, but I'm getting there. We're not down past the whole 50 pounds yet, but I'm working it, right? And I did engage a coach, a professional coach, to help me think forward from my professional life, to get myself out of the negativity and move into the positive. I made a conscious effort to reconnect with my daughter and my ex to build a healthy relationship. And then I reached out to my sisters and to my girlfriends that I hadn't talked to in years and just surrounded myself with a village of support. So that really helped me. And then what I can tell you is, we can go on, I can share that right now with a grateful heart, my relationship with both my daughter and my former spouse are strong and healthy. Our family does look different now, but we are together, we're committed, and we support each other. I did successfully complete all of the milestones on my transition chart. And by the way, that helps you to prioritize and connect and put one foot ahead of the other and not feel so overwhelmed. And I have become quite the barbecue queen. My girlfriend bought me a barbecue and a cool apron that says Barbecue Queen right across the top. And I'm learning it. I'm digging it. I'm having a good time with it. It's been 3 years for me. And I can tell you that I am in a better place than I have been in years. I am far more content, far happier. Things have shifted, but I feel finally positive, really positive, and back on path. And it's showing up in the way I work and in my professional work and in all of my relationships. We can go on, Colin, to the next. So playing bigger for me included sharing my story with all of you, connecting with Bridge Innovate. I really encourage you to play bigger too. Read Playing Big. It's got some great tools that you can use. It can work definitely with you. And feel free, please, to contact me if I may help you in your success. Sisters help me, so I'm offering it to sisters myself. If there's anything I can do to help you in your professional or personal life, I'm there for you. So thank you, and thank you for spending the time. Is there any questions that we want to engage with, Jenny? Anything that you want to bring up?
Okay, so if you guys have any questions, please
Thanks,
type.
Deborah. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
It feels weird to. Sorry, I just it's something I kept inside and hid for 3 years, and it's just nice to get it out and let people know and know that I'm not alone, that there are many others who are feeling that same sense of overwhelm. So back to you, Jenny.
Yeah, so thank you, Theresa. It looks like people are saying they're going to check out the book. They've enjoyed it. It was really great. I know that Theresa's got her website here, www.trustleadgrow.com. She's very approachable. So I would say if any of you are interested in chatting with her or dialoguing with her, or maybe want to send her a question personally, I'm sure she would be open to talking with you about that. A couple of questions coming in. So how do you prioritize? What were some of the obstacles?
Jenny, so Deborah asked me a question. Should I go ahead and grab that one? So Deborah, you asked, how did you prioritize so many things and tackled at once? Yes, what I did was I literally built a transition plan. I took an Excel spreadsheet. I laid out financial, housing, education, child. I literally did that, and I chunked it out by month, by week. And it was the only way to just keep myself sane, because otherwise it just felt emotionally overwhelming. And it kept me one foot in front of the other. And quite literally what I did was I thought, I lead transformation changes for organizations all the time. And we do it with a transition plan. So why would I be any different? And it really made me realize how important it is that you can't really make change happen until living in the way you currently do, will be worse than whatever is out there. So that's got me motivated. Now I get it. Change is hard. But yeah, I would make a real plan, a transition plan. So thank you. Thank you for the question.
Great. And thank you, Theresa, for a great session today. We really appreciate all your wisdom and encouragement. I mean, I think, one of the things I see for women that connect is just the inspiration of hearing from each other about our journeys, the steps that we've taken to grow and to do more and make our contributions to our families and to our societies and our communities. So thank you so much for being with us today. I want to just go on to the next slide and share a little bit about what's coming up. We have more inspirational webinars coming up through Bridge Innovate. You can check us out at www.bridgeinnovate.com and look under the events tab. We have a great session coming up on July the 29th from Lilo, who's been mobilizing learning labs in his community to drive change. And then we also have an overview of our creative problem solving course that's coming up next week, and then how to engage customers remotely doing solution sprints. So lots of different things coming up, the playbook prosperity, all kinds of stuff. So check us out. If you have ideas on speakers, please be in touch with us, or maybe you yourself would like to be a speaker at one of our webinars. We'd love to hear from you. So with that, I'll wrap us up. We will be finishing up the recording and sending that out to you if you want to share with others. Thank you so much, Theresa. Big round of applause. And thank you all for joining us today. It was lovely to have you here. Have a great rest of the afternoon.